and dear participants. A warm welcome to all of you with a special welcome to our esteemed master trainer and research expert Dr. Chancellor Jain ma'am, an assistant professor at Prestige Institute of Management and Research Indore. As you all know, we are on the fourth day of the faculty development program on business analytics and business intelligence. These collaborative initiatives is organized by the Synergy Research Foundation of India. It's sponsored by JHERF, ARGA, and Edu Academic Inc. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Chancellor Jain ma'am. She is an accomplished author and research expert, an academician with over 11 years of experience in management and commerce. She is the co-founder of Urja Counseling and Training Indore and also serves as the co-coordinator of IQAC at Prestige Institute of Management and Research. As a research expert and trainer, she has workshops and FDPs on the SPSS module, research paper writing, and analysis using R programming. She has completed a research project in the medical field, presented to the Central Ministry, and has chaired and co-chaired various conferences. With over 10 years of rich research experience, she has published research papers in various Scopus national journals. She has presented research papers in more than 20 conferences and received 5 Best Paper Awards at JIMS Delhi, Pacific University Udaipur, and 3 at Prestige Institute Indore. Under her guidance, many research scholars are pursuing their PhD degrees, and she has supervised over 500 students in their major and minor research projects. So that's only a glimpse of Madam's extensive expertise. Her contribution to the field are truly remarkable. Now, without further delay, I would like to request Dr. Chancellor ma'am to please start her session on the topic Basics of Statistical Tools for Quantitative Research Using SPSS. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Neha ma'am. I think I'm audible clearly.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you, everyone. So, very good evening, everyone. As ma'am has already introduced me, thank you so much, Neha ma'am, for my introduction to the participants. I think it's totally a privilege for me to interact all of you through this online platform. So, in this particular FDP, I think this is a day 4, as ma'am mentioned. Today, I'm going to discuss about a little bit about the statistical tools and how we can use SPSS and how we can apply these statistical tools using SPSS. Although the session is of only 1 hour long, so it will be little difficult for me to tell you that you can do the hands-on practice on SPSS, but still I'll let you know few of the things. So the agenda will be, today I'm going to discuss the few terms, firstly, which is the title of this FDP, that is business intelligence. Then I talk about the business analytics. We will see the terminology, right, like variables, measurement scales, and then I'll give you the overview of SPSS, and we'll see that how we can create or write or formulate, or I can say form the variables in SPSS. Then we will see how we can import the data in SPSS, and little bit more about the things like how you can do the analysis using SPSS. I'll try to give you the glimpses of that, right? So this would be the agenda of this particular day. I'm starting with the first term, that is business intelligence. So when I talk about business intelligence, it is a very broad term. Generally, business means we know there are day to day there are various activities are going on in every businesses. And when I talk about term intelligence, and when we are clubbing these two terms, so we can say this thing: business intelligence is nothing but it is a very broad term. In that we are trying to means business is not intelligence, but still we are trying to make a wise or intelligent decisions using the data which is available in businesses. So as we know, this is the era of the data, right? And without data, I think it is very difficult to survive. We know this thing, right? Whether it is a business, whether it is we or anyone, right? Without data, we cannot survive. So we need to understand that how that data can be analyzed, using which type of techniques we can analyze the data, and then how we can make the wise and the better decision. That is the agenda. generally we can say this is the era where we are looking for the business intelligence kind of things, where we need to make decisions in businesses, and that data can help us to make the wise decisions, right? Second term comes the business analytics. So when I talk about term analytics, it is nothing but it is a combination of the two terms, analysis and statistics. When we are combining these two terms, it becomes analytics, right? So when I'm saying business analytics, that means in business, again I say there is a large data sets available with us. We can have a data of sales, we can have a data of our customer tail. So various kind of data we are having usually in business, right? So using various kind of statistical techniques, we can analyze those data. That way it becomes business analytics, right? So there are various techniques available in business analytics which can help us to analyze the data. Four techniques generally we are using in business analytics. The very first one is the descriptive analytics, right? Then we can say after the descriptive analytics, we can go for the predictive analytics, right? Similarly, we are having the prescriptive analytics. Although these terms are very, what I can say, wide in nature, or I can say extensive in nature, but still, if I want to summarize these terms, I can say descriptive means we are having the data, we only want to understand what is the history, or means or using the past data, we want to understand what has happened. That is the descriptive analytics. When I talk about predictive will help you always to predict something. Means whatever has happened now, using that, how you can predict the future thing. That is the predictive analytics. Prescriptive is a step ahead. In the prescriptive statistics or analytics, what we are doing, we are trying to make decisions, right? So we need to use machine learning, etc. We need to use the various algorithms, and using that, we are trying to go for the actions, that which actions we can take or which action will be the appropriate one. That way, these are the three main uh, business analytics techniques which we can use nowadays.
Hello,
Right?
ma'am, it's
Now,
not audible.
hello, am I not audible, Neha ma'am?
Now you are audible.
Okay. So I think Soumya ma'am, you need to check your at your end whether the network is okay or not. Anyone else can confirm me whether I'm audible or not?
Yes, ma'am, you're perfectly audible.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much, everyone, for the confirmation. So Soumya ma'am, one more time I'll say you need to check your device or your network area, right? So further I'll proceed and I'll talk about the term variable. So I think it is not a new term for all of us. I think many of us will be from the academic field, and probably we are dealing with various kind of variables as we are generally looking for the research nowadays, right? And research is the very strong domain nowadays, which can help us to progress ahead, right? So I think rather than giving the definition from my side, I will be happy to listen from you people. If any one of you can tell me, what do you understand by term variable? Anyone? Yes. I hope you people are listening to me. Please little bit be interactive. It will be helpful for me also to understand whether you people are listening to me or not. So it would be good if you can give me answers. You can unmute yourself. No problem in that. Yes. Anyone wish to tell me what do you understand by term variable?
An element which is eligible to change over a period of time.
Very correct. Thank you so much, Tanya ma'am. Tanya ma'am has said very correctly. Variable means from name itself, it is quite clear to all of us. Variable means which varies, which is not constant. That is variable, right? Means if I say suppose hair colors, right? So hair color can be a particular variable. It's a kind of characteristics of human being, which changes from person to person. That is variable, right? So it is a characteristics, it is an entity which changes over a period of time, and we can say for when we are moving from one object to other object, generally it changes. That is variable, right? So in research, generally we are dealing with the variables only, because when we talk about the quantitative analysis, right? When we talk about the statistics, because the statistics supports quantitative analysis. When we talk about the statistics or the quantitative analysis, we need to generally deal with the term variable, right? So variable means nothing but it is an entity generally which we can measure easily. Sometimes it happens we cannot measure it also. Usually there are various domains, various disciplines available. Some of the domains are like, if I say, social science is one of the field where we are dealing with such kind of variables which we cannot directly measure, right? But whereas if I talk about the field medical, there are terms like, suppose if I say blood pressure, if I say the suppose cholesterol level or something like that. So we know these things we can easily measure. We are having apparatus available with us. We can measure them easily. But when I talk about social sciences, when I talk about psychology, etc., there are variables which we cannot directly measure. Say, for example, if I want to say a term or variable, that is stress. We know this is a variable. It varies from person to person. The stress level in one person will be different in comparison to the other person. So we know this thing, that this particular term is nothing but it is a variable. But we don't know what is the particular apparatus using that we can measure it, right? So that is why there are certain measurement skills available in statistics or in social sciences which can help us to measure such kind of variables which we cannot directly measure, right? So I hope you people are knowing the names of the measurement scales. So can any one of you unmute and tell me, do you any of you are knowing the names of measurement scales? Anyone?
Ma'am, I think nominal, ordinal, scale, and ratio.
Very correct. Isha, I'm very correct. Thank you so much. Isha has correctly said there are four types of measurement scales available, named as nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Usually the sequence will be the same which I have just said. Again, I'm repeating: nominal, ordinal, interval, and the ratio scale, right? So when I talk about the first scale, this is the basic scale, right? So this is very basic scale which can help you only to categorize the variable or the elements, right? Say for example, if I always take a very simple example, that is a gender, right? So when I say gender, means gender is only we are using to categorize our respondents. I can say these number of people are the male people, these number of people are the female, right? So I can categorize the respondents on the basis of their gender. That is, we can say only this variable is that is gender variable is only the variable which can only help us to categorize our respondent. But we cannot compare these categories. Means I have divided the respondents into the two categories, named as the male category and the female category. But we know this thing that we cannot compare these two categories, right? So that is one of the limitations of the nominal scale. I can say we can only categorize a respondent into the categories, but we cannot make any comparison in them, right? So that way it is a very first level or first order scale, which is the nominal scale, right? Further, if I talk about the next scale, which is a step ahead, that is the ordinal scale. Ordinal scale will help us to categorize the data, and also we can order those categories. So here if I talk about gender, again I say I can only categorize people, but I cannot arrange them into any particular order, that is ascending or descending. I cannot say that male are superior to female or female are superior to male. So that way ordering is not possible there, right? But if suppose I am telling you, suppose the grade or the roll number or the rank of the students, or maybe if I say, usually I'm giving the example of suppose height, or I can say height in terms of, I can say the people which are the short heighted, medium heighted, and the tall heighted people. So it is quite obvious I can categorize my respondents into the three categories: tall heighted people, medium heighted people, and the last one is the short heighted people, right? Fine. So this way I can say this thing, that I am categorizing, but again I know this thing that I can arrange them either in ascending order or in descending order. Fine. So I can say tall heighted people, medium heighted people, and short heighted people. or vice versa. So I can go in the ascending order or I can go in the descending order as well. So where there is a categorization is possible, and along with that you can order those categorization or those categories, that is known as the ordinal scale. The next scale is the interval scale. So as we proceed from one scale to the other scale, in every scale will be having the characteristics of its previous scale, right? So when I talk about the third level, that is the interval scale. In interval scale, we can categorize also, we can order also, and apart from that, there is the third characteristics, that is you can say there is an equal difference in the categories. That is the third scale, or the third scale, that is the interval scale. So the best example to understand the interval scale is the temperature scale. I think there are other examples also, but always a temperature scale is the scale which will help you to understand the interval scale in a better manner, right? So that is why I always quote only this example of the interval scale, that is the temperature scale. And I think we all have seen thermometers at our places, at our homes, right? So we all are well versed about the temperature scale, right? So suppose I'm talking about the Fahrenheit scale, right? So we can say, if I say 10 Fahrenheit, 15 Fahrenheit, or maybe if I say 15 Fahrenheit and 20 Fahrenheit, or 30 and 35 Fahrenheit. So I know the difference is same, right? So that way you can say that there will be equal differences, right? But there is a drawback of the interval scale is that drawback is that there is no absolute zero in the interval scale. Absolute zero means you cannot say that a particular characteristics which you are measuring using the interval scale, that is missing there, right? That means absolute zero means whatever you are measuring, it is missing, right? But in interval scale, we can say there is no absolute zero. We are saying there is an arbitrary zero, right? Say, for example, if I say at 0 degrees Celsius, we can say, suppose as I say, I'm talking about the temperature scale. So if I say, when I'm talking about from 30, 20, 10, and I'm coming to the 0 degree, right? After 0 also, we can go in the negative also, because interval scale can go in the negative also, right? So suppose I'm saying it's -5, -10, or something like that. So we know when we are coming on, when I'm talking about the thermometer or when I'm talking about the temperature scale. So as we are shifting from 0 to below, still we know that we can feel the temperature. We are feeling the cold, because temperature we can feel in two ways, whether we are feeling hot, whether we are feeling cold, right? So that is the nature of the temperature. So when I'm measuring temperature at suppose 0 degree, still I'm feeling cold. That means the characteristics of temperature is still present there. So that is no absolute zero is there, right? So that way it is a temperature scale. The last scale is the ratio scale. Ratio scale is a step ahead which overcomes the characteristic, or I can say the drawback of the interval scale, that is the arbitrary zero absence, right? So in ratio scale, the arbitrary zero is presenting, right? So generally, ratio scale starts from 0 and then it go ahead, right? So there is no minus thing when I talk about ratio scale. But in interval scale, you can go below 0 also, right? So that way, in ratio scale, having all type of characteristics, that is categorization is possible, ordering is possible, the equal differences will be there in the categories, and lastly, there will be the absolute zero available in the ratio scale. So using these scales, generally we can measure variables which we cannot measure using any apparatus. Say, for example, I need to use, or I need to calculate, suppose, or measure the stress or the motivation of a person. So using these scales means scale, and I talk about scale in terms of research. Scales are nothing but these are the instruments. These are nothing but these are the questionnaire, right? So using those questionnaire, using those scales, we can measure such kind of construct which we cannot measure using any particular apparatus, because no apparatus has made for that particular thing, right? I hope the concept is clear of the measurement scales. May I go ahead for SPSS now? Any doubts so far? I'm looking for a confirmation, friends. Please tell me something. It's online mode, difficult.
No, ma'am, no doubt. You can go ahead with the SPSS.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So now I'll talk about the next thing, that is SPSS. So rather than talking, firstly, I'll show you the interface, and then I'll talk about the further things. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay, I think I shared my screen where you people would be able to see the interface of SPSS. So give me a confirmation whether it is visible to you people or not. And I think now I have shared my screen, so I cannot see my back screen. That is a Google Meet screen. So you people need to unmute and tell me whether the screen is visible or not. Any one of you please unmute and tell me.
Yes,
Visible, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am, it's visible.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. So I think I have not spared much time in discussing the very little concepts. As the agenda is, I need to discuss the basic statistical tools and tests using the SPSS. So I have come directly here on the SPSS now. And here we will see firstly the interface. I think those who are already working on SPSS, they are well versed with the interface. So there is no problem to those people, but still those who are very new to the SPSS, I have shown the interface to you through this particular online platform. Here you can see it is very similar to Excel, right? And I think we all have worked in Excel, so I don't need to tell you anything about the grids or cells or anything, right? You can see simply these are nothing but these are the combination of rows and columns, and these are becoming the cells for us. In cells we can enter the data, right? So this way it is very similar to Excel. The only difference is that only means in terms of the look, if I talk about, right? So in terms of look, if I can say, the difference is that you can see at the bottom left side where I'm rotating my mouse, you can see this. There are two views available named as data view and the variable view, right? When I talk about Excel, we know generally there is a sheet 1, sheet 2, something like that is there, and plus sign is also there. When you are clicking on plus, new sheet will be added there, right? There will be a workbook in Excel, and you can add so many worksheets there, right? But here in SPSS, it is not like that. There will be two defined views available named as data view and variable view, right? So presently you can see the data view, which will be, I think, shown to you in the yellow color probably, right? Maybe color can be different because it's online medium. But here I can see it's a blue, yellow color. It is different from variable view, right? So color is different. So data view color is right now yellow or orange type, right? So you can see presently the data view is activated, right? In this particular view, you can import the data, means we can keep our data in the data view. This is the meaning, right? When I click on the variable view, now you can see the color of button. Variable view has changed, and now it is it will be showing to you maybe in the yellow color or orange color, something like that, or red color maybe. So this is now the variable view, right? Here you can see there are certain labels available above the column. These are the headings of the columns like name, type, width, decimals, etc. Right? So these are nothing. These are the certain parameters on that you need to define the name of your variable. So I think quickly I'll tell you how you can define the names, right? There are certain rules of defining the name of the variable. But if you're importing your data from any of the sources like CSV file or Excel or some other sources, so in that case, whatever the variable is defined there in those sources, same will be brought here, brought here in the SPSS also for us, right? So in that case, you do not need to define the name of the variables. But if manually, if you are doing something or manually you are creating any variable or something, so you need to use this variable view to create the new variable in SPSS, right? So I'll show you how you can create it, right? So there are rules like you cannot start the name of variable with the number. Like if I'm writing like gender, I have written one gender. I'm shifting the tab. I'm using the tab key to shift my selection from this cell to the next cell, right? So when I'm shifting this, you can see warning is thrown to me by the SPSS. It says variable name contains an illegal first character. So I told you this thing that you cannot start the name of variable with the number, right? Similarly, suppose I have used the $sign before the name of my variable. You can see again I'm getting invalid variable name. If I'm using hash, now again I'm getting the error. So that means hash or dollar sign or ampersand sign or numbers you cannot use to start the name of your variable. But if you want to these characters, these is alphanumeric characters or special characters in your variable name, you can keep them maybe in middle or maybe at the end of the variable name, right? Similarly, if your variable name is of having two words, right? Suppose I have written here respondents age, right? I have written like this. Now I'm shifting my selection from the this cell to the next cell using the tab key. Again, you can see it is throwing an error. That means you cannot define the variable name using two words. If you want, you need to use either the underscore sign or the period, that is the dot sign, right? Suppose I'm writing here respondents underscore age. You can see no error you are getting, right? So these are the various small nitty-gritty things about the naming of the variable which you need to keep in your mind while defining the name of your variable in SPSS environment, right? Further, when you have defined the name of your variable and you are shifting from your first cell to the next cell using the tab key or the arrow key, you can see many of the fields are already filled by SPSS. These are the by default values in SPSS, right? So type, as I said, generally SPSS can be used for the quantitative analysis. But nowadays, due to the add-ins and all, you can go for the qualitative analysis also. But here we are talking about the statistical tools. So in case of statistical tools, the drawback of statistics is it cannot deal with the characters or alphabets or text, etc. Right? So usually statistics is used where we are having the data in the form of numbers, right? Quantitative data we need to have to perform statistics, right? So that is why by default SPSS set the type of any variable as numeric, right? But it is not like you cannot change the type. Using these three dots, you can click on this. Dialog box will be appearing in front of you. There are the varieties of variable types available. According to your need, you can use it. But if you want to perform statistical analysis, mostly used one is the numeric. But if suppose there is a name of a person, you want to enter the address of the respondents or something like that, you can go for the string. If you are having some certain dates or something like that, you can go for date. Remaining are used in the other social sciences field. If you are from science background or something like that, you can go for the scientific notation, etc. So these things will be used here according to your requirement, but by default, SPSS takes the type of any variable as numeric. Fine. Coming to the next, that is the width. Generally, there is no use of width in case of the numeric variable, right? So there is no use of this. By default, the value of width is 8, right? That means if I say, suppose I'm coming here, I'm creating one more variable, that is name. Suppose I want to keep the name of the respondents in my data, right? So I have written here name of the respondent, or suppose name only, right? Now I can come to this and I can select the type as string and I can click on OK, right? Now in this case, there is a meaning of this width. What is the meaning? I'll show you in the data view. Here in the data view, as my name is of 9 characters, in my name there is a 9 characters, it's Chanchla, right? So suppose I'm writing CHANCHALA. So you can see, I don't know you are able to hear the sound produced by my laptop. I am not knowing you are able to hear that song or not. But I can hear that because when I'm pressing A from my keyboard, it is not taking. This character is not taken by the SPSS. Reason is what? The width is by default 8. Means it will take only 8 alphabets by default, right? If you want to extend or increase the width, you can use these up and down arrow keys to increase or to decrease the width like that, right? Suppose coming here and now I want to complete my name as Chanchla. You can see I did it. Now I am going to the next cell. I am not getting any error now or any that warning sound. I'm not getting now, right? Easily I am able to write my name, first name, right? Now, coming to the again variable view. Decimals, I think it is quite obvious. There is no use of decimals in case of string data. But if you are talking about the numeric data, in that case, you need to decide upon whether your variable is of the discrete kind of, or whether it is a continuous kind of. So I think let me ask one question in between. Can any one of you tell me what do you understand by term discrete variable and the continuous variable? Anyone? Yes.
So, ma'am, like weight becomes a continuous variable because 10.1, 2, 3, and I think discrete are that wholesome numbers.
May I know the name?
Isha.
Isha, ma'am. Thank you so much, Isha, ma'am. It's very correct. When we talk about the discrete variable or discrete number, it is quite obvious when the number is the whole number, generally it is the discrete. When I say, suppose number of students in a class, it is quite obvious it will be 10, 20, 35, something like that. I cannot say 30.2 students are there in the class, right? So this is a discrete variable. But when I say the weight of the student in my class, it can be the complete number also, but it can be in the decimal point also. It can be 52.2 also. It can be 40 also. It can be anything. So weight is a variable. The nature of variable weight is what? It can take the data in terms of decimals also. So weight is a continuous variable, right? So that you need to decide upon whether you need to keep the decimal points or not. If I talk about the respondents' age, generally we are asking the age. People are saying 23, 24, 25, 30, 35, something like that, right? So that way there is no use of this decimal points. You can make it 0 using this up and down arrow keys. I hope it is clear till now, right? May I proceed? I think I am a little bit fast, but I hope it is fine. May I take that liberty, or I need to go a little slow? Please tell me that. Is it fine, friends? May I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Thank you. Now coming to the next option, which is label. So label is what? I think from the name, it is very understanding for us that label is nothing. You can label the name of your variable. As we have seen, there are certain restrictions when I'm defining the name of my variable, right? Suppose I can write here age. It is, I think, very concise, clear to me, right? So, but if I want to define it in detail or elaborate, I want to elaborate the name of my variable. Suppose I can write here the age of respondent. So you can see here, there is no problem of keeping the space or something like that. You can easily freely keep the space also in between the two words. Whereas we have seen in defining the name of variable, you need to use the underscore, right? So generally in the label, you can take that freedom to define the name of your variable in the detail form also. And also, generally, I think this is only suggested from my side. From my experience, I am just telling you this thing. Whenever you're doing any work in SPSS, I generally suggest you, please use this label, define the name of your variable elaborately in the detail form. Why so? Because many a time it happens, I think you people are from the research background, you people know this thing. Generally, once we are collecting the data, that data we are using 2-3 times, right, further. And it is very obvious we are not working on the same data at the same time, right? So over a period of time when you are working, you generally forgot the things. So this label will help you to understand clearly that what is that particular name you have given to your variable, right? So this way you can need to use generally this particular label. Although if you will not use this label, it will go with the variable name only, right? Further, talking about the values. So values, firstly, I'll show you when I'm clicking on these 3 dots, a dialog box is appearing. So this is what? This is value labels. So we know generally we are collecting the age in terms of intervals. We are not directly asking the age of the persons. I think we generally, in that particular notion, that it is not looking good if you're asking directly the age of the people. People will not tell you the their age exactly. Or maybe there is a kind of thing that the age can be not a complete age. it is suppose a particular person is of 24 years and there is some months also after that particular 24 completion of 24 years, right? So that way generally we are taking age in terms of intervals, right? But you need to generally code that data, right? So suppose I have written here, I have collected my data from 20, suppose 21 to 30. This is my first slab of the age. So I'm giving it as a label as 1. So persons who are coming in between the 21 to 30, they will be labeled as 1. I'm clicking on the add button. Sorry, I made a mistake. Sorry, it will be 1. Label can be the 21 to 30. You can add it, right? Value will be 2. Then it will be 31 to 40. You can add it, right? And suppose its value is 3. And suppose you are writing it is 41 to 50. You are adding it. And suppose lastly I am taking 4 and I am giving the label as above 50 and adding it. Done. And you can click on OK. So this way this will be defined, right? Again, if you will not define, SPSS will not give you any error. There is no problem, because you miss maybe it is quite possible you have coded your data in Excel. You can code your data there and you can bring your data here in the SPSS after coding it. So it is clearly written 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, whatever it is, right? Whatever coding you have given. But again, this will be for the future reference. If you are using the same data, and that we would be able to understand, 1 is for 21 to 30, 2 is for the 31 to 40, and likewise, right? I think for name, there is no use of this value label, so we can skip it. Coming to the next option, that is the missing. Missing is what? From the name itself, I think we all know missing means missing values, right? But here, this missing value is little different. When I talk about missing values in SPSS, there are two kinds of missing values: system defined and user defined. System defined means which are not available with us. Suppose you collected the data manually using the hard copies of your questionnaire, and some of the people have not answered few of the questions. They are unmarked by the people. That will become for us. That will become for us the missing value, right? That is the system defined missing value, because when you are entering that particular data, you are not putting those values for that particular questions, right? So this will be the system defined missing value. Next one is, if I talk about, the next one is the user defined missing value. User defined means a name is very helping us to understand this particular term. User defined missing values means, being a user, suppose I am using this particular SPSS for analysis purpose, I can define my own missing values. Meaning is that, suppose I'm coming here in this particular, this 3 dots I have clicked and you would be able to see the missing values dialog box is coming here. Now there are 3 options available, named as no missing values, discrete missing values, and range plus 1 optional discrete missing value, right? No missing values, this is the by default option, means SPSS is considering everything, nothing is missing. Second one is discrete missing value. Suppose I'm clicking this, right? Now, suppose I'm writing here 1, right? Because we know this thing, we have defined 4 values here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when I am writing here 1, meaning of 1 is what? That means this 21 to 30 will be missed from my data. This is what I am defining. I am giving the instruction to SPSS. Please do not include 21 to 30 in my analysis. Clear? So that way you can use this particular missing option. If you want to use, suppose 4 also, so that means the people who are above 50 years, they will also be not included in your analysis. Only the people who are in between 31 to 50, only they will be the part of your analysis. Meaning of this is that. I hope it is clear. Any confirmations, friend?
Yes, ma'am, clear.
Yeah. So that way, these are the 3 options available. Using that, you can define the 3 discrete values as a missing values, right? Next one is the range plus 1 optional discrete missing value. Suppose I have asked the age of persons means I have directly asked the age of the people. I have written your age and I have kept a blank space, and I want people to write their actual age, right? So that way, suppose I have collected the data, and suppose after cleaning and checking my data, suppose I got this understanding that there is the people, those who are minor and those who are the old age and very old age, I do not want to include them in my analysis. In that case, you can use this particular option. Suppose I am writing here, I found there are people who are of the 15 years of age, and maybe people, those who are belonging to suppose 90 years or suppose 20 years also, right? So suppose I do not want to include the data of the people who are between 15 to 20 years. Lower limit is 15, upper is 20. So people, those who are in between 15 to 20, I do not want to include them in my analysis, right? This is the way you can define this particular thing. One more extra, suppose I have found there are people who are above 65 or maybe 65 something. So I have written clearly, people, those who are of the age 65, they should not be included in my analysis, right? So that way you can use this missing values option if you do not want to include any of the category in your analysis, using the discrete or using this particular range plus one is extra discrete missing value. It is not like that always you need to keep use this particular discrete. If you want to only define this lower and upper, that will also work for you. You can click on OK and this will be set for you, right? So this way you can use this missing value option in SPSS. Columns and alignment are only for the makeup purpose, and it is nothing when suppose I'm coming here and you can see I'm stretching the column name, and I can see its impact on the size of this. Now by default it is 8, it was 8, now it has become to 13, right? So that way it is showing you more character if you're increasing the column width, right? Alignment, I think we all know, we all are working in Word and Excel, so alignment are generally 3 types: right, middle and left. So by default for numeric it comes as right, for the string or the character data it comes as the left. But if you want to make any changes, you can click here and you can make the changes according to your requirement. Next one is the measurement. Which measurement scale you have used to analyze your data or to measure your data. So as I think I discussed, there are 4 measurement scales: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. In SPSS, you can find only 3: nominal, ordinal, and scale. So when you are measuring your data on interval scale or on ratio scale, you will keep its size, or you can keep its measurement type as scale. I think nominal and ordinal, you know, and these are the icons which can help you to understand. Nominal will for only the categorization. You can see the set type of diagram or the icon is there. Ordinal is for the order. You can see a scale. You can see the bar there. Scale, you can see clearly it is a scaled, right? So that way you can set this particular measurement type of your variable. So these are the parameters which can help you to define the name of your variable. I hope how to define the variable is clear to everyone. May I proceed, friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now we'll go for looking that how you can import data in SPSS, right? So there are various ways of importing the data in SPSS. One way is the file. You can go in the file, you can click on the open, you can click on the data. This is the first way of bringing the data in SPSS: file, open, and data. Then next one, you can see this is the icon, which is nothing but it is a open data icon. Once you will click on this, it will be landing you to open data dialog box. So same you will get, which you will get here using this open and data. So same you will get here also, right? Then the third one is you can click on the import data and you can set directly the particular type. Suppose I am clicking on the Excel, right? So that way open data will be open for me, but here the files of type will be set as the Excel, which you can change according to your need. These are the various extensions available. These type of data you can bring in the SPSS environment, right? Now in the login, you need to set the, just a minute, you need to set the location from where you want to pick the data. Suppose I set my location. From this particular location, I want to select my data. Suppose I am selecting the appropriate option for me. Yes, suppose this one. Now you can see all the Excel files available in this folder will be shown to me. I can suppose select my data. Suppose I want to bring this employee data in my Excel SPSS environment. So I selected that. I can click on the open. In few seconds, you would be able to see the red Excel file dialog box will be appearing for you. You can find here in the worksheet, but if there are more than one worksheets available in your Excel file, all will be listed here. According to your need, you can select which sheet you want to bring in SPSS, right? By means at a time you can bring only one Excel file in the SPSS. So suppose by default sheet 1 is selected, and I think I'm okay with this particular sheet. So that way you can see this is the preview of your data. You can click on the OK. Once you will click on the OK button, in few seconds you would be able to see this is the data. So as I told you, if you are bringing importing your data in SPSS, in that case you do not need to define the name of your variable. Whatever the name was be there defined in your Excel or in your source file, they will be taken directly to the SPSS. If you want to make any changes, that you can do. Editing is permissible, that you can make changes, right? So that way you can see the data view. This is the data available for you, right? I hope it is clear to everyone. Fine, friends. Importing is clear. How to bring data in SPSS is clear to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now, further, if I talk about the analysis. So usually various kind of statistical analysis are there. The very basic one is the descriptive statistics. Can anyone of you tell me what do you understand by term descriptive statistics? Anyone? Yes.
Is it, ma'am, where the population is known and therefore using measures of central tendency, you have the exact evaluation?
Yeah. I think, ma'am, Isha, ma'am, you are talking about the method, I think, right? But if I talk about the term descriptive statistics, it is nothing but it is a way which can help you to summarize your data. As you can see, this is a broad data available to me. Looking at my data, this particular data, I cannot get any understanding from the data, right? If I talk about any particular field, suppose I'm talking about education or maybe the salary, right? So looking at this, I cannot come to any conclusion, right? So descriptive statistics is a way which can help you to summarize your variables, to summarize your data. Using that, you can summarize your data and you can get the understanding of your data. One of the methods for describing your data is definitely the measures of central tendency, right? So using the measures of central tendency like mean, median, mode, or if I talk about descriptive statistics, or if I talk about measures of dispersion like standard deviation, variance, or if I talk about measures of distribution like skewness and kurtosis, you can summarize your data and you can get the understanding or the nature about your data. You can understand that whether your data is normally distributed or not, because when we go further and talking about the inferential statistics, there you need to understand whether your data is showing the normal distribution or not. So that all you can understand using the descriptive statistics, right? So descriptive statistics is the very first step after cleaning of your data. You can perform that particular statistics on your data and you can get the summary of your data, right? So this is nothing a way of summarizing your data. If I talk about SPSS, I think friends, give me a second, right? I need to switch on the charging for my laptop. Give me a second. Yes. So I think I was just giving me a second here. So when I talk about SPSS, in SPSS, how you can perform descriptive statistics, I'll show you that. You need to go to the analyze menu for that. As you can see, if I talk about the interface of this particular SPSS, where I talk about this data view, you can see So many tabs, menus are available. According to your need, you can use them. Transform generally is used to transform your data. Means if you want to perform any changes in your data, you want to manipulate your data, you want to create some new variables in your data, you can use this transform. Analyze is again very understanding for us, that we can use various kind of statistical test under this analyze option. Graphs will help you for the data visualization purposes. Then talking about utilities, and then it means utilities is an advanced thing if I talk about in SPSS. Further extensions, if you want to add any extensions or something that you can do. Editing, viewing, edit, view, data, etc. and file. I think these all you have already seen in Excel and SPSS. Sorry, in Word also, right? But here, if I talk about the SPSS, as we are talking about only 1 hour, so I'm not going into the deep of every particular menu or tab. I'll talk about only the analyze tab, where you can see again so many tools are listed, which we cannot discuss in this short span of time, right? So I take you briefly to few of the things. If I talk about the descriptive statistics, here you can see in this there are various options available which you can perform on your data. So suppose I'm starting with the second option, that is descriptive. This will give you all the techniques which I just told you, measures of central tendency, dispersion, and skewness, etc. So I'm clicking on this. Here you can see a dialog box is appearing where you can find all the variables are listed at the left hand side, which are available in your file, right? Suppose I'm selecting the scale data, because scale data can be the better thing to understand descriptive statistics. Here you can perform mean, etc. because you cannot go for the standard deviation and variance or skewness and kurtosis for the categorical data, that is the ordinal and the nominal scale data. That is why I'm selecting here the salary, shifting it to the variables box using the arrow key, clicking on the options button. Here you can see in the descriptive options, few of the boxes are already checked, like mean, standard deviation, minimum, and maximum. If you want to get variance, suppose you can click on this. If you want to get the range value, you can click on this. Apart from that, if suppose you want to get the skewness and kurtosis of your variable, you can click on this, right? And then you need to click on the continue button and then on the OK button. And in the few seconds, I hope my output window is also visible to everyone. Yes or no? Any confirmations, friend? My output window is visible, I hope. I'm audible, ma'am.
Yes,
I am in
ma'am.
meeting. Yeah. Yeah. So here you can see, if I talk about descriptive statistics, this particular output is coming in front of you, where you can see as we have transferred the salary variable. In the first column, you can find N is nothing but it is the sample size, which is 474. That means total 474 data is available for the, or employees data is available in that particular data sheet, right? Now, range of the salary is 1,19,250. This is the range of my salary variable, right? Minimum of the salary is 15,750 and the maximum of the salary is 1,35,000. I hope you are knowing the formula for range. Anyone can tell me what is the formula for range?
Maximum minus minimum.
Very correct. It's maximum minus minimum. So if you can use your calculator, you can subtract this and you can get this particular figure, right? So that way, this is the range, minimum and the maximum of the salary. Talking about the mean salary, it is 34,419. Standard deviation is 17,075.661. Variance is the square of your standard deviation, which will be a very large figure. It is something 29 lakh something. Skewness is 2.125 and the kurtosis is 5.378. So these two parameters, that is skewness and kurtosis, will help you to ascertain whether your data is normal or not. Means whether your salary variable is normally distributed or not. Using skewness and kurtosis, you can say this thing. Now, if I talk about skewness value is 2.125, so I think maybe you people have heard and even calculated also. So generally in statistics we are having certain threshold values, standard values. From that we can compare this. Usually for the perfect normal distribution, skewness should be 0. Means there should be no skewness in your data. Data should be symmetric to your mean. Means 50% data should be the left hand side of your mean and 50% data should be at the right hand side of your mean. This is the meaning of the symmetric, right? But if suppose there is some problem, disbalance is there, suppose 40% data is going left hand side, 60% data is going the right hand side, something like that, that means there is a problem. And you can say there is a skewness or the presence of skewness is there. The presence of asymmetry is there in your data, right? So for that, their skewness value should be 0. But I think in the real world, it is quite difficult to get the 0 value from the data. So there are certain threshold values available. Generally, -2 to 2, we can take as the threshold value. If your skewness is in the range of -2 to 2, you can generally consider your data is a symmetric data. Similarly, if I talk about kurtosis, kurtosis is nothing. If you have seen the bell-shaped curve, if you are aware about that bell-shaped curve, you know there are tails, right? So kurtosis is nothing but it is a study of the tails and the sharpness of that particular curve, whether your curve is steep or means what type of curve you are getting. So that way you can understand that thing using the kurtosis value. Generally, kurtosis value should be 3 for the normal distribution. But again, as I say, it is again quite difficult to get exactly 3. So there is a range. It can be -3 to +3, right? So, but you can see when I talk about the ranges, threshold values, which I've just told you. If I talk about skewness, it is beyond that particular range. It is not coming in -2 to 2. Similarly, it is not coming in -3 to 3. It is beyond that. So that means there is a problem with the normality of the salary variable, right? If I want to perform any particular further hypothesis using salary, suppose I want to compare the salary of the male and female. So I don't know how many of you are comfortable. If I may I tell you a hypothesis and can you people guess in that particular hypothesis is a statistical tool you can apply? Yes or no?
Chia test,
Sorry?
Chia test, Z test, Chia test.
I think I need to firstly tell you the hypothesis, ma'am. Then you can guess, right?
Okay,
I'm
okay.
telling you the hypothesis. There is no significant difference in mean salary of male and female employees. This is the hypothesis. Firstly, tell me how many variables you're finding in this hypothesis.
3
Sorry?
variables, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Can you name the variables?
Salary, and then 2 groups of males and females.
Okay, fine. So we can say we are having 2 variables, gender and salary. Gender, we are having 2 categories, male and female. It is okay, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So we can say we are having 2 variables in this hypothesis. One is a salary. The second one is the gender. Now further, because after looking at your hypothesis, it is very essential for us to see which test you can perform on that particular hypothesis. So one thing is you need to know which type, what number of variables available. So that we have identified there are 2 variables, salary and gender. And in gender, there are 2 categories, male and female. This is what we have identified. Further, you need to look what is the nature of your variables. So gender is a which kind of variable?
Nominal.
Very correct. And salary?
Ordinal.
Ratio.
It's a ratio. It's a continuous scale variable. Very correct. It can be in decimal points also, right? After deducting taxes and all, it can be in decimal points also, right? So that way I can say salary is a continuous variable, gender is a nominal scale variable. So we have crossed the second hurdle also, that we have identified our variables. We have understood their measurement scales. Now you need to see in my hypothesis what I am stating. I am looking for the difference. I said there is no significant difference in the mean salary, right? So I'm looking for the significant difference in the salary. So that way, when I am looking for the difference, I need to decide which test you can use to find the difference. So there are tests like Z test, as ma'am said, that is Z test, T test, and ANOVA usually you are using to find the significant mean difference, right? Now, you need to check the appropriateness according to the test. You need to understand which test will be applicable. So here you can go for either the Z test or you can go for the T test. So there are again problems in Z and T. Means problems means criteria, I can say. In Z test, generally, if you want to apply Z test, you need to understand this thing, that whether the population standard deviation is known to you or not, right? So suppose from whatever population I have drawn this data, I need to know the standard deviation of that population. Suppose it is not possible for me to know, in that case you need to drop the Z test and you will go for the T test, right? Because in T test situation or the condition is that if you are not knowing the standard deviation of the population or variance of the population, in that case you can go for the T test. So suppose I think I am comfortable using the T test because I am not knowing the standard deviation of my population. Means for salary, I'm not knowing the standard deviation of the population, right? So that is why I'm going for the T test here, because T test is the appropriate test which is useful where we are having the two variables. One is the continuous and second one is the categorical, that is nominal, with the two categories. And when I want to find the significant difference, right? So that way I have decided upon, I can go for that particular test. Further, for every statistical test, there are certain assumptions available according to the journals. Means if you are publishing your research in any reputed journals, I suggest you can go there, you can see the quality of the research papers published there already. You can, from that reading, you can understand this thing, whether the assumptions were checked or reported by the people or authors or not. Accordingly, you can take your decision, check the assumptions if they are generally demanded by the journal. If not, you can make the decision by your own, because ultimately we are getting the reviews when we are submitting a paper to the journals. They are maybe asking various questions to us, so you need to be ready to give the answers for those questions. So accordingly, you need to take your decision, right? So further, if I want to talk about how to perform T test, you can go to the analyze, you can go to the compare means, you can select the independent samples T test. Now you can shift your, just a minute, you can shift your one variable, that is salary, which you want to test, in the test variable box. I think gender will create some problem. It's showing me AA. I need to check what is the problem. And that way I'm just only telling you these things, and then you can click on the define group. Suppose it is, I don't know, I have to check what is the group values I have given. Suppose 1 and 2 I have given, one for male and 2 for female, that I can define here. So accordingly, whatever you have given, you can define that. You can click on continue, and then you need to only click on OK. I'm not clicking on OK because I can see there are some problem with the data. I need to check what is the problem in the data. So that way, once you will click on the OK button, the output will be generated for you that you need to interpret. So this way, I think I have just shown you the one glimpse of the statistical test which you can perform using the SPSS. So there is a range of tests available in SPSS. According to your need, your understanding, you can perform them, right? So this way, if I want to conclude this session, I will conclude on the note that whether it is a business, whether it is a research, whether it is any field, because I think nowadays statistics is used in most of the fields. Many of the decisions are made using the techniques of statistics. So you need to have the understanding about the statistical tools and concepts firstly, right? Then I think there are various softwares available. I have just discussed here about the SPSS. Apart from that, Excel is also there, but there are certain limitations of Excel. All means if I talk about the advanced statistical test, which you cannot perform there in Excel, but still ANOVA you can use the Excel. But again, you need to understand there is a difference in the Excel and SPSS. In SPSS, a different kind of data format you need to require to perform analysis. But when I talk about Excel, in Excel the data format is little different, right? That is the one thing. So either it's Excel or SPSS, or nowadays there are so many open sources are also available that you can use for a analysis purpose, but you need to have the understanding or knowledge about how to use them. Apart from that, there are various programming languages also available, like Python is available, but generally Python is used for the corporate purpose, for the industry purposes. For academic purposes, we are having R programming. R programming having so many statistical libraries available in R, which we can use for the not only the basic statistical tool performance, but for the advanced statistical tools also, which you can easily perform. Even CFAs, SEM, etc. also you can perform. Discriminant analysis, everything you can perform using the R also, right? So whether it is a MATLAB or Strata, and everything you can use, but I think you need to excel. You need to excel in any of the softwares. I think one software is enough for us, but that you need to decide upon in which software you want to excel. So get an understanding of a particular software, then you need to have the knowledge of the statistical test and in which situation we need to perform which test. That is again a very imperative to understand. So this way, if you are having the understanding of these things, you can usually you easily use all these things in your statistical analysis, and that way you can get or produce a good research or quality analysis for any particular research paper. So I think this is all from my side. Now the platform is open for the question and answers. If you are having any, please ask.
Hello, good evening, madam.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
I'm speaking Dr. Mukesh Bawalia from
Okay,
Gujarat.
sir. Okay.
Madam, I'm a professor in government college, right? But somehow some student have a query in research in a particular sub. All the students in commerce and accountancy, they are collecting data, right? But they don't know about the how to use this software, R Studio and SPSS software. So is there any platform or any course for the learning of the SPSS on R Studio and any other statistical tools for the research, particular a PhD scholar, because they have completed just their PG, right? And then don't know about the software. And how can we help to these students, ma'am?
Sir, either their guides can help them, if the guides are having the understanding, they can help them, or maybe you can ask your students to join. I think nowadays various FDPs are generally organized by the various institutes, and nowadays these are available in the online platform also. Or you can ask them to use any YouTube channels. Usually in
Okay.
YouTube channels also they get the understanding how to use it. But only limitation of the YouTube channels is that there they cannot ask questions, right? So
Yes, sir.
the better option is to go for the FDPs and workshops. There they can interact with the experts and they can ask questions also.
Okay. But there is a one platform of the UGC, then the Swayam portal. Is there any course on Swayam portal?
So that you need to check, because every year, I think in every particular academic year, courses are changing, right? So you need to check.
Oh,
Maybe you can
oh.
get, but I think for SPSS, I have a doubt. I think SPSS is not available there.
No, man, no available. That's why
Yeah,
I'm
it's not
asking.
available.
Is
It's
there
not
any? Because somehow what happened? Ki guides is told the can give the some a task to the students, and they are giving to task to the two other professionals, and professional is charging very high amount for
Sir, but I think if you have
the
joined
charge of.
RFI,
Uh, uh,
Mukesh sir, as you have joined RFI,
yes.
so RFI is organizing various FDPs and at the very economical prices, right? So I think SPSS workshop is lined up. I think Yogra sir tell you the date. I forgot the date, from 29th or something. It is lined up. So if your scholars want to join that, they can join. I am going to take that particular workshop there. So if they want to join, they can join that.
Okay. Please guide me, then I will share the data to my students.
Yeah,
Please.
definitely.
Thank
I
you.
think Yogra sir is available, and I think, sir, is there any group of this particular FDP, Yogra sir? So, sir, I think in that group, sir has already shared, or if not, he will share there. So you can get the information. Sorry? Mukesh sir, I hope you got the answer, right? So
Yes,
sir,
yes, ma'am. Yes, yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Any
Thank
other?
you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, most welcome, sir. Any other questions? Okay, so no questions. So it's a very great association with the RFI. So I must say, what I can say, I must extend my gratitude to the RFI team, especially the Ajay Jain sir and Neha ma'am also, Yogra sir also, for always being always there for helping us to conduct these FDPs. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you all the participants for showing your willingness to join this FDP. Thank you. Over to you, Neha ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So it's time to conclude this wonderful session. But before that, I want to express my sincere appreciation to every participant for your active participation. A heartfelt acknowledgement is extended to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Chanchala Jain ma'am. Additionally, I extend our sincere gratitude to the organizing committee and sponsors for their support, which has been instrumental in the success of this session. With profound gratitude for everyone's participation, we officially conclude today's session. Your contributions have been immensely valued. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neha ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Hope to meet you in the next FDP. Thank you.